The House of Representatives voted today to elect Louisiana Congressman Mike Johnson Speaker of the House. And apparently this election result he will accept.
Oh, hey, politics. The Democrat Party message is everywhere. They're like Hamas and the Gaza, aren't they? But more violent, I think. Well. Happy Thursday and welcome. Been going down up and down the list of crazy. We've got the Islamic jihadis in the Middle East, genocidal anti-Semites, murderous, blood-sopped war criminals, and then we have the Democrat Party in the United States. There's a lot of commonality there, a lot of crossover, a lot of overlap between the two. It's a seemingly bizarre turn of events that the Democrat Party would become pro-Hamas and anti-Israel, and that your average Democrat, as the audio I just played for you, out on the streets of Washington, D.C., yelling at a woman riding a bicycle with her toddler child, screaming at her, "Are you a Jew?" As a matter of fact, I am. And screaming that she's the devil. You people are the devil. It does sound kind of Minister Louis Farrakhan-esque, this, Jewish devil. He goes after the blue-eyed devils, white people. He's a virulent racist and in good standing with the Democrat Party, of course, at all times.
I just know the truth. And I'm here to separate the good Jews from the satanic Jews.
See, you got your Minister Louis Farrakhan right there with the satanic Jews. Yes. My best girl and I, we went to the Million Man March down in the Mall, Washington, D.C. long ago. It was kind of fun. Only a couple of threatening moments in the midst of the mob, but it was fine. Now, CNN and NBC News, these are mainstream media outlets. I think that would be fair to say, wouldn't it? That'd be fair to say. They've been covering the attack on Israel with a pro-Palestinian, a pro-Hamas bent, pro-radical Islamic jihadi terrorist bent, a pro-genocide bent, which is also peculiar, but it's the reality. So I got to say it out loud. And here's a story on CNN and NBC giving airtime to a woman who celebrated Hamas's massacre and wished Hitler had finished the job. It's hey, guest booking. Guest booking? I'd like to talk to you about the guest you have on right now. But when you're a Democrat, it really doesn't matter because... So as the world's attention continues to be focused on the war between Israel and Hamas, a radical Islamic terrorist army, mainstream media have relied on people on the ground. Where else would they be, honestly? Some of them did parasail in and then murder, I suppose. A friend of mine shared yesterday the new Coexist bumper sticker. You know, the Coexist bumper sticker with all the religious symbols. And one of the letters is a terrorist parasailing in with a rifle because, there's really only every religion is fine with the exception of one. You're not seeing the Baha'i out here massacring people or Buddhists or Christians or Jews, but they do occasionally have to defend themselves. So CNN and NBC have this. They've been using this woman out of the independent state of the Gaza Strip, where the Palestinian people, so-called, were given the right to, take over land mass, what is about more than 140 square miles, more than twice the size of Washington, D.C., more than 25 miles of Mediterranean beachfront property, which they've turned into a smoldering hell because it's a murderous death cult. But never mind that. They've got there's a woman there named Dunya Abu Rama, and she's 22 years old, an architecture student in Gaza, And she's appeared on CNN, on Manderson Pooper 360, and on NBC News to tell her story. And Abu Rama told Anderson Cooper, said,
what do you want them to know about what has happened in your town? What has happened to you?
Tell us.
All I want them to know that there are civilians, people who wish to live a normal, peaceful life, to feel safe.
Shouldn't go murdering everybody then.
We are human, and all we want is to have our rights and live peacefully. As a woman and as a girl, all I want in this life to educate and to graduate and have a job and have a family. This is all I want.
That's all she wants. It all sounds perfectly reasonable. And poor Dunia Abu Rama, it's such a sad story. She's an architecture student and seems very sweet. Well, on October 7th, while the massacre was taking place, she was busy on social media. Have you heard of social media? It's really caught on, I think. It's everywhere now. And she is not the sweet, innocent little thing that CNN and NBC News have presented her as. She, while the massacre was going on and everyone was paying attention, she tweeted, "He really freed the prisoners," in reference to the hordes of Hamas terrorists and local Gazans that were rampaging through Israeli communities and kibbutzes, murdering people. And then she's got another post. There was an Israeli soldier was dragged into the Gaza and brutalized and lynched and was hanging out in the public square for the savages to come attack his dead body. And she tweeted, "On my own, I go down and beat him with them." I go down and beat him with them. So the murdered, lynched soldier hanging in the square, she went down and joined the mob in beating the Israeli soldier. Later, she tweeted happily about the border with Israel being overrun, saying in one tweet that she was planning on transferring from her university in Gaza to another university in the West Bank. Wait a minute, you guys have universities there, and you got all this Mediterranean seafront land, and this is a two-state solution. You've got your state. You voted in your government. Sure, it's a radical Islamic terrorist organization called Hamas, but you had your election, one one man, one vote, one time. Then the totalitarians took over. And it gets better. So she's talking about going to pray at the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem in the Old City, and where you can't go if you're a Christian or you're a Jew because of the warlike culture that surrounds the Al-Aqsa Mosque. But on my own, I go down and beat him with them, meaning the mob. And Dania Abu Rama, who's in good standing with CNN and with NBC fake news, also expressed her love for Adolf Hitler on her social media because she said, "May God forgive you, may Allah forgive you, Hitler. I wish you had finished with this group of people who went astray." Yes, and look, we got the Minister Louis Farrakhan in the United States spreading this stuff too, very big in the mainstream black community in the United States of America. Hitler, I wish you had finished with this group of people who went astray. And there she is on NBC being treated like she's Grace Kelly, and on CNN like she's the victim in all of this. She's a Hitler-loving, genocidal racist, and the news media cleans it up for her. Isn't that amazing? Just extraordinary.
Here the Jews don't like Farrakhan, so they call me Hitler. Well, that's a good name. Hitler was a very great man.
See, this is mainstream stuff in Democrat Party circles, and it's true, the man yelling at the Jewish lady on her bicycle with her child sounds like he might have been influenced by the Minister Louis Farrakhan, although he didn't look like, he was a bow tie wearing Nation of Islam person. But the message does get around. And And this young woman who's in good stead with CNN and Manderson Pooper and with NBC News also wrote, "The house of the Jews will be destroyed." But then she comes on and says, "All I want is peace." And I went down and I attacked the lynched Israeli soldier hanging out there, and I attacked him with the mob and beat him myself, and she's proud, very proud. Yes, sir. Yeah, she's got a Twitter account. "We want a truce after you start taking a beating. We want to get rid of it," meaning Israel. That's what she wants to get rid of. So she's a genocidal anti-Semite, and the news media treats her like she's Hollywood royalty, like she's just fine, just wonderful, right? Pretty amazing stuff. And on college campuses, I was talking about all the protests and things on the college campuses. Yesterday, across the country, in New York City and across the country, the pro-terrorist, genocidal anti-Semites of the Democrat Party, and they've raised a generation or multiple generations of these hate-filled racists. And the college campuses are hotbeds of this stuff. And they call it liberalism. The professors, the administrators, they're backing this. In fact, yesterday, another story I didn't get to yesterday was at Berkeley, they were giving students, UC Berkeley, they were giving students extra credit if they joined the pro-Hamas rallies. They were getting school credit for going to the anti-Semitic rallies because that's your Democrat Party, and that is what passes for liberalism in the 21st century in the United States of America. And it is 100% on the Democrat Party that this is happening. All of it. Nothing but Democrat Party stuff. And this, obviously, UC Berkeley is considered to be one of the great liberal institutions in the United States of America to this day. And Victoria Huynh, Huyyn, UC Berkeley, giving graduate students extra credit for attending the anti-Israel walkout. You get credit for it, see, because they're sick, people. Victoria Huynh, Asian American graduate student, giving extra credit for her course, Asian American Communities and Race Relations. You guys are the biggest racists in the world. You do realize that, don't you? You don't get the idea of America. You don't get the idea of the planet Earth. You are balkanizing along lines of race. And in the name of liberalism, which is more than a little bit ironic, but never mind that. So the Democrats, they love racism and anti-Semitism, and they're not on our side. Boy, are they not on our side. Now, there was kind of a fun moment on Fox Business. Liz Clayman interviewed a billionaire who has given tens of millions of dollars to Columbia University in New York City. And now he's got some questions. He's got a couple of questions. And I'm going to get to that coming right up. Hey, do you have nasty odors in your home that you'd really love to get rid of? Well, now you can get rid of any stinky odor with the Eden Pure Thunderstorm Air Purifier. The Thunderstorm gets rid of strong odors from cooking and cigarette smoke and litter boxes and trash cans and even leftists protesting in your living room. Hopefully you don't have any leftists protesting your living room. The Thunderstorm starts working in a matter of seconds to clear any room of any odor. Plus, there are no expensive filters to have to schedule and mail away for and buy and replace. It's a self-contained unit. You can hold one in your hand. Hundreds of thousands of Thunderstorms have already been sold. You can look up the 5-star reviews online. It works like a champ. And this week, I've got a great deal for you to get your own Thunderstorms, because right now you can save $200 American when you get 3 Eden Pure Thunderstorms for whole home protection. That's 3 units for under $200. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com. You enter the discount code CHRIS, C-H-R-I-S. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS, and you get free shipping because you know me. That's good stuff. Yeah, where did all this anti-Semitism come from? It's really burst out into the public. And the Democrats have apparently been plotting this for a long time on college campuses. Now it's out here in the light of day for everyone to see. Joe Biden needs to make a speech about this, but he won't.
Call me an anti-Semite. Stop it. I'm anti-termite.
Hey, it's Chris Plant, excited to tell you about our July 2024 Listener Sea Cruise. We'll be sailing around the British Isles, visiting Scotland and Ireland. Please join us. Book by this July 31st for extra savings. Visit ChrisPlantCruise.com. You know, I think that we are in a very dangerous place in the United States of America because of the left. It feels like we're this far away from Kristallnacht, the Nazi riot, the night of broken glass in November of 1938. Attacks on the Jewish population, Jewish businesses. And I said, I think we're this close. I'm holding my right index finger 3/4 of an inch over my right thumb. This close, I say. It's madness. What's going on in this country. I've never seen anything like it, and I've been paying attention. And it is all the, I was on my Newsmax show. We're talking about this, and the liberal on the show, Jason, he said, well, we're talking about the anti-Semitism that's rampant on college campuses and the coast to coast and the pro-Hamas and he said, well, there was that thing in where was that Charlotte. That they had torches and like 12 guys said, the Jews will not replace us. Charlottesville. And the Jews will not replace us. And that's still, right on the tip of their tongue years ago now. Whereas this is a rampant and epidemic problem across the country. And it's all Democrats. But liberals will say, oh, yeah, what about 12 guys saying the Jews will not replace us, however many years ago that was? Yeah, that was pretty stupid, too. It doesn't mean anything in the first place. But the Democrat Party is on the brink of Kristallnacht Part 2 because they're not on the side of the angels on this one at all. And when you see these incidents out on the street, oh, yeah, speaking of which, Newsweek magazine did a piece on the black guy in D.C. that yelled at the woman, "Are you a Jew? I knew you were a Jew. You're the devil." Right? Newsweek did a little piece. They went to CARE for a comment, the Council on American Islamic Relations, which is a radical outfit and always has been. But they had to get a comment from CARE. Oh, yeah, it's real bad for us. Yeah, we Muslims, we're being attacked all over the place. Well, when you guys get a video like that, you post it. Why don't you? Get back to me when that happens. What happened to college campuses? Yeah, college campuses are not what they used to be. Can't you just, smoke pot and get sexually transmitted diseases like normal college students? What's the matter with you? There is Columbia University, where Barack Obama went to school, one of the places where he was indoctrinated. Columbia University refuses to condemn professor who called Hamas attack awesome. He called it awesome. The mass murder of the Jews, the rapes, the beheadings. He called it awesome. He's a professor in good standing at the Ivy League college, Columbia University. Columbia University has refused to comment on the growing furor over a tenured professor who called the Hamas terror attacks against Israel awesome. A petition calling for his ouster gained more than 45,000 signatures, but he's not going anywhere. Professor of Politics and History Joseph Massad, M-A-S-S-A-D, was accused of condoning and supporting terrorism. In a petition created by a 23-year-old student, Maya Platek. And Columbia University, they're fine with that. Now let's go to a Columbia University graduate here named Leon Cooperman, who is a billionaire hedge fund manager, the son of immigrants. He is Jewish, and he was on the Fox Business Channel with Liz Klayman, and she asked him, you know, given your background and the fact you're Jewish and immigrant parents, and you went to Columbia University, how do you like what's going on at Columbia?
You are a proud graduate of Columbia Business School, class of 67, son of Polish Jewish immigrants, first in your family to graduate from college. What do you make of what's happening at Columbia, well, and Harvard, Stanford, NYU as well? There was a student walkout at Columbia just a couple of hours ago, driven by Columbia professor Joseph Mossad, who called the Hamas attack, quote, awesome. Where are we in the world when 1,300 Israeli civilians
I think these kids at the colleges have for brains?
We had to clean it up just a little bit. He was speaking freely. He figured, well, you know, it's cable TV, right? You know, it's they have excrement for brains, said Leon Cooperman, the billionaire hedge fund manager, who is a Columbia University graduate and 1967. And he's done very, very well for himself. He's, you know, worth $2 or $3 billion. And Columbia University, Columbia Business School, it's completely nuts. He's an 80-year-old man, and he sees what's going on. He's talking to Liz Klayman. His name is Leon Cooperman.
We have one reliable ally in the Middle East, that's Israel. We only have one democracy in the Middle East, that's Israel, okay? And we have one economy tolerant of different people, you know, gays, lesbians, etc., and that's Israel. So they have no idea what these young kids are doing.
Well, they're being educated by people that call themselves liberals, people that are Democrats, people that vote Democrat. And keep in mind, I'm the only one reminding people of this on a regular basis, that Adolf Hitler's party was called the Socialist Workers' Party of Germany. And today, you know, the Democratic Socialists of America are advancing the cause that we thought we had snuffed out in the 20th century, but they are back. He also points out maybe a Columbia University should be a little more grateful to him since he's been very generous.
Now, the real shame is I've given to Columbia probably about $50 million over many years, and I'm going to suspend my giving. I'll give my giving to other organizations.
Wow, that is a big statement. So right here, right now, you're saying no more money to Columbia.
Yeah, unless I see a change. I told them that they should fire this professor that made the comments he made. I mean, war is hell. War is not good for anybody. But to praise what Hamas did is disgraceful, disgusting.
It's awesome, said the tenured college professor. Hedge fund billionaire Leon Cooperman has vowed to stop donating to Columbia University over its response to the war in Israel, as he slammed students protesting the Jewish state as having beep for brains. Cooperman, who is of Polish Jewish descent, was asked in an interview Fox News' Liz Klayman on Wednesday about his thoughts the student protest at his alma mater, as well as similar demonstrations at other Ivy League, poison Ivy League universities. And this is where all of our, you know, Democrat Party government leaders come from, of course, from these poison Ivy League institutions. And good for Cooperman for speaking up and telling the truth. And I've got to say, where has Joe Biden been on this? Joe Biden, we've reached the point. I mean, are we going to have to wait for Kristallnacht when the Nazis started rounding up the Jews and attacked Jewish businesses? And I've played the audio for you from different universities of young women saying they've been told by their professors to stop wearing their Star of David jewelry or garments, stop wearing anything that makes you identifiably Jewish. And the reason is that the Democratic Party has become a threat to you. And there are violent mobs in the street. You know, they stood up. I talked about it during the Occupy Wall Street period, that was a protest that was about nothing. And I described it at the time as a recruiting campaign by the extreme left in the United States to get everybody's Facebook and Twitter and all their social media addresses, to put them on their mailing lists, to rope them into all of their causes. And it led to various other things, including Black Lives Matter, which is a shakedown racket run by racists who have, the organizations, Black Lives Matter, have taken in literally tens of billions of dollars, not millions, but billions of dollars. And they've been caught buying mansions in Canada and houses all over Los Angeles. And you got this racist organization, Black Lives Matter, which is a big lie. They haven't done anything to save black lives. Everything they've done has led to more black people being murdered by defunding the police. And then you see skyrocketing homicide rates in major Democrat-run cities. And all of that is just fine, of course. Isn't that amazing? And Joe Biden should be, he should be addressing the nation. Now, he's not capable of doing this because he's brain dead, but he should be addressing the nation in a primetime speech from the Oval Office or from the East Room in the White House, addressing the crisis of anti-Semitism in the United States. But he can't do that because it's his party, it's his base, his donors, his voters. Forget about 12 guys with torches making fools of themselves how many years ago in Charlottesville. This has become an epidemic in the United States of America, and it is entirely driven by the Democrat Party. I'm telling you. All right, let's take a phone call. Enough of me. I've been talking for long enough. Let's go to the phones. Let's see. Let's go to Dave calling from Silver Spring, Maryland. Dave, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Your Eminence.
Hey, Dave.
It's funny. If they want to get rid of you, 2 or 3 signatures on a piece of paper, a couple phone calls, and you're gone. But if they don't want to get rid of you, 45,000 signatures doesn't make any difference. So it simply highlights the fact that this anti-Semitic position is Columbia University's official position.
Well, and it's not just Columbia University, but you're right about Columbia University with this racist, genocidal, anti-Semitic professor who loves murder. Again, at the George Washington University, a group of students got a fancy projector and projected their Hamas talking points on the side of a library that was donated to the university by a Jewish family. Their mantras of "from the river to the sea," which means wipe Israel off the map, and glory to the martyrs. To the martyrs, the people died murdering people. And I got to tell you, Dave, it is unlike anything that I think any of us in the United States have ever seen, certainly since World War II. Prior to World War II, there were some German Americans that were enthusiastic about the rise of the Nazi Party before they invaded anybody or murdered anybody. But the Democrat Party today, in the name of liberalism, in the name of leftyism, is turning our country into a loony bin. Now, I mean, they've been making it into a loony bin for quite some time, right, Dave? But you make a very good point. 45,000 signatures get rid of this professor, and they don't care. Well, what do they? They'll just ignore that because then you're not the boss of me. They don't do anything they don't want to do because they're the left. And again, Columbia University, Ivy League, New York City, supposed to be liberalism. How is any of this liberalism, Dave?
My brother graduated from Columbia in 1980, and he's just a nut job. He's a total whack job. So Columbia's been doing this for a long time. Harvard's been doing it even longer. If you recall, all of the people who sat in judgment of the Salem witches were all Harvard graduates. So these people have just been at the nutty business forever, and that's that.
And that's that. That's great. Your brother went to Columbia, and he's a political nut job today, huh?
We were talking about, he's a tree hugger. And I said to him, your people they drive steel spikes into trees so that loggers' chains come off and can kill them. And he said to me, straight up, he said, well, whatever it takes. I said, you're sick. Well, I can't use that line.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
They are mentally ill, and we call them Democrats, and that's supposed to make it okay, you know?
Yeah, I think the word Democrat is a new word for a mentally ill person.
Yep, it is.
It is extraordinary. And the amazing thing, one of the amazing things about all this, we see it on the college campuses, we see it on Manderson Pooper on CNN, we see it on NBC News, that they bring on these genocidal anti-Semites, these genocidal Jew haters, and they treat them like they're normal people, which elevates their stature and their status, their standing in our culture. And they, on their social media accounts, they get followers by being on Manderson Pooper, and they invite these people on and they treat them like they're normal people. That is to normalize genocidal anti-Semitism, genocidal Jew hating, and it is entirely 100% on the backs of people that self-describe as liberals that vote Democrat, that many of them come from academia. And as you said, your brother, even long ago, in the 1980, graduated from Columbia University. Barack Obama went to Columbia University. Barack Obama went to Harvard Law School. Barack Obama hasn't said anything about any of this that I've seen either. But Joe Biden certainly hasn't, and his spokesperson, Raggedy Ann, she immediately says, well, gosh, the Islamophobia, whatever that is, an irrational fear of Islam, that's a big problem. And Newsweek magazine goes to do a story on this nice Jewish lady riding her bicycle when the crazy black guy in D.C. is yelling at her that she's the devil. And, beep you, and your life is of no concern to me, and that anti-Semitic screed. This is all perfectly normal in Democrat-run America. It's very disturbing, and Joe Biden is not going to make a speech about it.
And you noted that Barack Obama hasn't said anything about this. Aren't we told that silence is violence, right?
Yeah.
My family suffers from a Democrat infestation, and I can't even communicate with these people anymore because they are a culture of hatred and intolerance and racism. Everything that they wanted the world to think was true about us, which wasn't, is exactly true about them.
Yeah, it's true. It's this projection thing, and we've played audio of, good old, what's her name, who said, talking about the Soviets, how the Soviet Union trick is to accuse you of being guilty of exactly what it's Victoria Nuland, former State Department official under oath before Congress.
It is classic Russian technique to blame on the other guy what they're planning to do themselves.
And the Democrat Party does that up the yin-yang. That's part of their pattern, too. They've been doing it for years. Just amazing. And honestly, you look at the polls, too. There was that Harvard-Harris poll about a week ago that I shared with you. I'm going to have to whip that out again. What was it? 51% of 18 to 24-year-olds were. I'm going to grab that poll. I gotta pull that out again. Dave, thank you for the call. Sorry about your brother and your family. And it's true, radical left-wing environmental terrorists pound giant nails and stakes into trees in the hope that when lumberjacks come along with big saws, that the chain will break on the saw. It can rip your arm off. It can kill you. And then the casual Columbia grad says, well, whatever it takes. So, killing lumberjacks. And then he sits back down in his wooden chair like the Ivy League moron that he is. Yes, the Harvard University Harris poll found days ago that among 18 to 24-year-olds, college-aged, and Takes a lot of years to get through college these days. 51% of Americans between 18 and 24 believe that the attack on Israel was justified. More than half of the Utes, genocidal maniacs, and guarantee you self-described liberals. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Greg, calling from Pensacola, Florida. Lots of U.S. Navy there.
Hey.
Greg, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, how are you this morning?
I'm great, Greg. What do you say?
Oh, I just wanted to know how many of these colleges and universities that are allowing all these protests and all going on, how many of those allowed conservatives to come on campus? How many of those sat back and just was like, well, it's free speech, they can do it? I am sure most all these are the same ones that were kicking conservative speakers off campus for inciting some kind of hatred or something like that.
You're 100% right. If Ben Stein should come to campus or Ann Coulter should come to campus, a violent mob shows up, riot police have to be called out because they might have a pro-American, pro-capitalist, pro-freedom message because I keep saying it, Greg, they're not liberals. They're the left. And no one is more illiberal than the leftists. And honestly, any conservative voice going on campus is in danger of violence. I mean, if you are, God forbid, like an African-American conservative, right? You want to go to a college campus. First, they'll try to cancel the event. They'll try to take the venue away from you. Then they will show up in a mob and try to prevent you from entering the building. If you get there, they will disrupt the event. There have been more cases than I can count of that precise reality happening again and again. Honestly,
I know it is.
Candace Owens shows up on a campus, and the so-called Democrats, the so-called liberals, will storm the building, will do everything they can to keep wonderful, lovely Candace Owens from speaking. Intelligent, thoughtful Ben Stein from speaking. Whole lot of fun, lot to say. Ann Coulter from speaking. They don't believe in free speech. They don't believe in the First Amendment. They believe in total control because really they're not liberals. They're leftists, and leftists are fascists. Just ask Benito Mussolini.